Step into the wrong repair shop and you could lose hundreds without knowing it. Mechanics are trained to spot your fears and profit from them. Today we are exposing 13 scams you must avoid. But stay with me until the end because the worst one almost everyone falls for is last. Number 13. The free inspection trap. It is easy to be drawn in by the promise of something that costs nothing, and that is exactly why this particular trap continues to thrive in repair shops across the country. What begins as a simple offer of a complimentary look over your vehicle often ends with a long list of recommended repairs, many of which are unnecessary or exaggerated. The pitch is effective because it plays on a driver's natural concern for safety. And when a mechanic tells you a belt is about to snap or a suspension is dangerously worn, it feels risky to ignore. This is where confidence and preparation must take the lead, because the cost of blindly agreeing to the work is almost always higher than the cost of taking a second opinion. The average repair shop uses this tactic as a funnel to sell additional services rather than a genuine gesture of care. Typical claims may include serpentine belts with harmless surface cracks, described as emergencies, or suspension components deemed unsafe despite showing no measurable wear. The figures behind it are sobering. According to the American Automobile Association, nearly 1 in 4 so-called complimentary inspections result in unnecessary fixes. Shops rely on urgency and fear, banking on the idea that most customers will not take the time to double-check. Yet the truth is that most modern cars are designed with clear indicators for real issues, from dashboard alerts to built-in wear sensors on brakes. One rider mentioned taking his motorcycle in for a free inspection before a road trip. The mechanic returned with nearly $900 worth of urgent repairs, warning him that belts and suspension could fail at highway speed. Nervous, he called a relative at another shop, who later confirmed the only issue was a $25 air filter. Everything else was perfectly fine. That scare tactic almost cost him a full paycheck. The best defense is simple. Never approve repairs on the spot. Always request photographs of the claimed issue or ask to see the supposed worn part directly. Then take that information and consult a trusted second shop. A careful rider knows that real emergencies reveal themselves clearly, while manufactured ones live only in the sales pitch. With patience and discipline, you will keep both your machine and your wallet safe. Number 12. Inflated labor hours. Every rider knows the frustration of looking at a bill and seeing more hours of labor than the job could possibly require. This is one of the oldest tricks in the book, and it works because most customers never question the shop's math. Instead of charging for the actual time spent, many mechanics rely on what is called book time, a standardized estimate that inflates the labor charge even when the work is completed far more quickly. The practice is profitable for them, but punishing for the rider who simply wants fair treatment. The scam often plays out in predictable fashion. A repair listed at 3 hours may only take 1 hour in the hands of an experienced technician, yet the invoice still reflects the higher number. That extra time becomes pure profit, taken not from skill or effort, but from the customer's trust. The difference may not sound dramatic at first, but it adds up quickly across common jobs like alternator replacements, brake work, or fluid services. The result is that a rider pays far more than the actual value of the labor performed, often without realizing it until later. One rider mentioned getting charged for 4 hours of labor on an alternator replacement that actually took less than 2. He later discovered online that the job usually requires about an hour and a half. A friend who was a mechanic laughed, saying he could have done it on his lunch break. That experience taught him to always demand a written estimate before agreeing to repairs. The defense against this tactic is clear and straightforward. Before approving any work, ask for a written estimate that specifies labor hours. If the final bill exceeds that estimate by more than a small margin, you have grounds to dispute it. It also pays to check labor guides online to compare fair ranges for your make and model. When a quote appears inflated, a second opinion is always worth the effort. Knowledge is the leverage that prevents inflated labor from draining your wallet. If you're finding this list helpful so far, do me a favor and tap that like button. It makes a real difference in getting this information out to more riders. And let me know in the comments if you've ever caught a shop trying one of these tricks. Your story might save someone else from getting burned. Number 11. The Shock Strut Upsell. Few things on a vehicle inspire more confusion than suspension work, and that is why the shock strut upsell has become a favorite move for many shops. The strategy is simple. Take advantage of mileage milestones and convince the customer that replacement is a necessity, even when the suspension is still performing as designed. A rider who hears that shocks are shot or that struts are dangerous will often agree to costly work without realizing that no real evidence has been shown. This is not about safety so much as it is about squeezing extra profit from uncertainty. The truth is that shocks and struts do not fail on a set schedule. They wear based on conditions like potholes, heavy loads, or long years of abuse, but many last far beyond the figures tossed around at repair counters. An honest inspection requires more than a glance. It calls for hands-on checking, a bounce test, or measuring for leaks and uneven tire wear. Instead, too many mechanics use mileage charts and scripted warnings to push a replacement job well before it is needed. What could be a $1,000 repair quickly becomes an unnecessary burden that does nothing to improve performance or safety. Defending against this tactic takes calm persistence. Do not take "because of the miles" as an answer. Ask directly how the suspension was tested and request to see signs of actual failure. If your vehicle rides smoothly, handles well, and shows no irregular wear on tires, chances are strong that the suspension is holding up just fine. When in doubt, always seek a second opinion from a shop with a reputation for fairness. The difference between a genuine repair and an upsell can be measured in thousands of dollars, and your vigilance keeps that money where it belongs, firmly in your pocket. Number 10. Blinker fluid and other fake products. There are scams that take advantage of complicated systems, and then there are scams that rely purely on gullibility. Among the most absurd is the pitch for blinker fluid and other fake or unnecessary products. The very idea sounds like a joke, but some shops use this kind of language to slip in sales for overpriced additives, novelty services, or products that serve no purpose at all. For a rider who is already uncertain about the mechanics of their machine, the tactic works by creating embarrassment. Few people want to admit they do not understand a part, so they nod along and agree to the charge rather than ask questions. The blinker fluid scam is the most famous, but it is far from the only example. Some shops offer premium windshield washer fluid for a marked-up price, claiming special formulas when the same solution can be purchased at any parts store for only a few dollars. Others recommend miracle fuel additives, headlight restoration packages, or unnecessary air conditioning recharge kits. The trick is always the same. Make the product sound vital, time-sensitive, or high-tech, and then attach a number that has no relation to its true value. When a customer fails to push back, the money flows directly into the shop's pocket with nothing of substance delivered in return. The solution is straightforward and requires no mechanical expertise. If a product sounds strange, silly, or too good to be true, it almost certainly is. Ask the shop to show you where in the manual it is listed as required maintenance, and if they cannot, walk away. A rider who does his research, checks part prices independently, and refuses to pay for gimmicks will never fall victim to the blinker fluid trick. Number 9. Your warranty is voided lie. One of the most frustrating scams a rider or driver can encounter is the bold claim that using an independent shop or a non-factory part will instantly void a warranty. Dealers have relied on this tactic for decades, often intimidating customers into believing they have no choice but to return to the dealership for every oil change, brake job, or replacement part. The message is delivered with authority, and many owners simply accept it, worried that the coverage they paid for will disappear if they step outside the dealership's service lane. The truth is that this lie has been exposed time and again, yet it continues because fear is such a powerful motivator. Federal law protects consumers from exactly this kind of abuse. The Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act makes it clear that a manufacturer cannot void a warranty simply because you chose a different shop or used an aftermarket part. As long as the work is performed correctly and the replacement meets the proper standards, your coverage remains intact. The dealership may imply otherwise, suggesting that your engine, transmission, or electrical system will be excluded, but their words do not change the law. One rider mentioned being told by his dealership that if he didn't use their branded oil filters, his entire warranty would be void. Worried, he kept going back and overpaid for basic oil changes for nearly a year. Later, another rider in his motorcycle group explained the protections under the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act and showed him proof that aftermarket parts meeting manufacturer specs could not legally void coverage. Realizing he had been pressured into hundreds of dollars in unnecessary service fees, he switched to an independent shop and never looked back. The way to defend against this is both practical and simple. Always keep detailed records of your maintenance, save receipts, and confirm that the fluids, filters, or parts used meet the requirements listed in the manual. If a dealership tries to deny coverage on false grounds, you can challenge the claim, and federal regulators have stepped in before to correct exactly this type of misconduct. By knowing your rights, you can continue to choose trustworthy shops, save money, and still maintain the full protection of your warranty. Number 8. The phantom repair. Few scams are more infuriating than paying for a repair that never actually happened. The phantom repair is exactly that. A charge on your bill for work that was never performed or for parts that were never replaced. It thrives on trust, because most customers assume the job has been done once the invoice is printed. Instead, some dishonest shops bank on the fact that very few drivers will check under the hood or demand to see the old components. The scam allows them to pad their profits with invisible work, leaving the customer with a lighter wallet and the same problem they walked in with. This tactic often hides behind vague language like system service or adjusted components. In some cases, customers are told a timing belt, fuel pump, or transmission flush has been handled, only to later learn the part was untouched. The Federal Trade Commission has tracked losses in the billions from repair fraud, with phantom work standing out as one of the leading culprits. What makes this scheme particularly cruel is that it erodes trust in the very shops meant to keep our machines safe on the road. Once you discover that the job you paid hundreds of dollars for never took place, it becomes difficult to rely on any mechanic without suspicion. The best protection comes from demanding proof. Ask to see the old parts after they have been removed, or request photographs of the repair process before you pay. Any reputable shop will gladly provide this level of transparency, and those that refuse should raise immediate red flags. A second inspection at a different shop can confirm whether the work was performed. By treating every major repair as something that requires visible evidence, you can prevent phantom charges from ever finding their way onto your bill. Number 7. Overcharging for simple fixes. Among the most common ways shops take advantage of customers is by turning simple 5-minute jobs into expensive service charges. The overcharging for simple fixes scam works because most people assume that if a mechanic is doing the work, it must require special tools or deep expertise. In reality, many of these tasks are so straightforward that any owner with a basic set of instructions could complete them in minutes. Yet, the bill at the counter tells a very different story, one that includes inflated labor charges and marked up parts. Typical examples include replacing a cabin air filter, swapping out wiper blades, or changing a light bulb. These are routine items, often requiring nothing more than opening a glove box, sliding a panel, or unclipping a blade. Despite the ease, shops will routinely charge more than $100 for labor in addition to inflating the cost of the part itself. A filter that costs less than $20 online may appear on a bill at $50 or more, with another $100 added for installation. For the customer who is not checked, it seems normal, but in truth, it is pure profit built on convenience and assumption. The defense against this practice is knowledge and preparation. Before agreeing to routine maintenance, take a moment to look up the process for your vehicle. Online resources and step-by-step videos can show exactly how simple these jobs are. Even if you prefer to have the work done at a shop, knowing the true level of effort gives you the confidence to challenge an inflated labor charge. Refusing to pay for what should take only a few minutes is not being difficult, it is being fair to yourself. With awareness, you prevent simple fixes from becoming expensive lessons. Number 6. Fake factory. Only parts. One of the oldest tricks in the repair playbook is convincing customers that only so-called factory parts will keep their machine running properly. The sales pitch is often delivered with authority. If you choose anything less than an original part, you are told your warranty is at risk, your performance will suffer, or your safety will be compromised. For many riders, the word factory carries weight, and that makes the tactic effective. but the reality is far less dramatic. In most cases, aftermarket components are produced to the same standards, often in the very same facilities, and they perform just as reliably at a fraction of the cost. Dealerships and certain independent shops use this tactic to protect their margins. An oxygen sensor, alternator, or brake rotor stamped with the brand name might cost double or triple the price of its aftermarket twin, even though the two parts may be indistinguishable in performance and longevity. The myth of factory exclusivity has been debunked repeatedly, but it remains powerful because it preys on a rider's fear of voided coverage or mechanical failure. For everyday maintenance, from filters to spark plugs, aftermarket choices are more than capable of meeting the manufacturer's requirements. The best line of defense is to know your rights and read the fine print in your warranty. Federal law requires that manufacturers honor coverage as long as the replacement part is equivalent in quality and specification. Unless the manual clearly states otherwise, you have the freedom to choose. If a mechanic insists that only factory parts are acceptable, press them for written proof. If none is provided, it is a red flag that their interest is profit, not protection. By choosing wisely, you can keep your bike running strong without paying unnecessary premiums for a name on the box. Number 5. The brake pad scare. Few words unsettle a driver or rider more than being told the brakes are nearly gone. The brake pad scare is one of the most effective tactics shops use because it strikes directly at a customer's sense of safety. A mechanic will warn that pads are dangerously thin or that the vehicle is at only 10% life, creating a sense of urgency that makes it hard to refuse. In reality, pads often have far more usable life left than the numbers suggest, but fear of losing stopping power pushes many people into replacements long before they are needed. Brake pads should be replaced based on thickness, not mileage. Many remain safe until about 3 millimeters, yet shops often push changes at 5. Some vehicles have squeak indicators for real warnings. By exaggerating urgency, mechanics turn caution into profit, selling costly brake jobs months before they are actually needed. The best defense is to insist on seeing proof. Ask the mechanic to measure pad thickness in front of you with a proper gauge. If they refuse or rely only on vague descriptions, consider that a red flag. Comparing their claim against the specifications in your manual can also provide clarity. And whenever a shop insists the issue is urgent, seeking a second opinion can save hundreds of dollars. Real safety issues deserve immediate action, but scare tactics belong on the list of scams. Knowledge ensures you know the difference. Number 4. Upselling Synthetic Oil. Few maintenance decisions create more confusion than the question of what oil to use, and dishonest shops know exactly how to turn that uncertainty into easy money. The upselling of synthetic oil is a scam that works because it sounds convincing. A mechanic will tell you that your engine will last longer, run quieter, and perform better only if you upgrade to synthetic. The tone is urgent, as if refusing would somehow be neglecting your machine. The truth, however, is that while synthetic oil has its place, most vehicles do not require it for reliable operation. Synthetic oil is built for high-performance engines or extreme conditions, while conventional oil protects most vehicles when changed regularly. Shops push synthetic since it costs nearly double and boosts profits. Using vague claims about wear or lubrication, they pressure uninformed customers, turning a basic oil change into a bill twice as high. The way to guard against this is straightforward. Consult the manual and follow the manufacturer's own recommendation. If the manual states that conventional oil is acceptable, then synthetic is optional, not required. Ask to see the exact line in writing before agreeing to the higher price. Many oil caps even specify the grade that is suitable, leaving no room for interpretation. If a shop continues to pressure you, take it as a sign that their focus is on profit, not on service. By standing firm, you avoid being upsold on something that offers no benefit to your wallet or your engine. Number 3. Unnecessary air filter replacements. Every rider and driver understands that clean air is critical for an engine to perform properly, but that simple fact has given mechanics a perfect opportunity to pad their bills. The unnecessary air filter replacement scam is one of the most common upsells in the industry. A mechanic will dramatically show you a filthy-looking filter and insist that it must be changed immediately. The problem is that the filter they show may not even belong to your vehicle. And even if it does, surface dirt is not always a sign that replacement is required. Most filters are designed to work effectively for far longer than shops would like you to believe. A quality air filter typically lasts 15,000 to 30,000 miles, yet shops often push replacements at half that. Using phrases like restricted airflow, they pressure customers into unnecessary changes. Modern engines handle moderate dust easily, so early replacements provide no benefit, only unnecessary costs in parts and labor. Avoiding this trap is straightforward. Learn how to access the filter yourself and check it visually. If light can still pass through most of the surface and the material is not cake solid, it likely has plenty of life left. Taking a quick photograph of your filter before bringing the vehicle in can also protect you from being shown a staged example. When in doubt, consult the schedule in your owner's manual rather than the recommendations of someone trying to increase their invoice. By staying alert, you prevent unnecessary filter changes from draining your wallet. Number 2. The mystery check engine light. Few things make a driver's stomach drop faster than seeing the check engine light glow on the dash. It is a small symbol, but it carries the weight of uncertainty, and repair shops know how to use that fear to their advantage. The mystery check engine light scam preys on a customer's lack of technical knowledge. A mechanic will tell you the issue is serious, often warning of catastrophic damage or repair bills stretching into the thousands. The customer, feeling cornered, agrees to expensive diagnostics or unnecessary parts replacements without realizing how minor the cause might be. Many check engine light warnings come from simple issues like a loose gas cap, dirty filter, or small vacuum leak. The Environmental Protection Agency notes many cases involve minor emissions problems. Shops exaggerate with talk of failed sensors or converters, using fear to turn a harmless dash light into profit. Protecting yourself starts with taking away the mystery. Affordable code readers, often costing less than $20, can plug directly into a vehicle's port and provide the exact trouble code. With that knowledge, you can quickly research whether the issue is urgent or something that can wait. If you prefer not to invest in a tool, many auto parts stores will read the codes free of charge. The point is to walk into the conversation with clarity instead of fear. When the light comes on, do not let panic drive your decision. Understanding the code means you can decide whether a real repair is needed or if the shop is simply exaggerating the problem. Before we wrap up, make sure you hit subscribe so you never miss another breakdown like this. Every week I share the tactics mechanics hope you never discover. By subscribing, you'll stay one step ahead, protect your wallet, and keep your machine running strong. Knowledge is power, so subscribe today and keep riding with confidence. Number 1. The urgent fluid flush. Of all the tricks in a mechanic's playbook, none is more widespread than the urgent fluid flush. The word urgent is designed to push a customer into quick agreement, as if the health of the entire machine hangs in the balance. A mechanic will point to a small container of dark liquid and insist that your coolant, transmission fluid, or brake fluid is dangerously contaminated. The pitch often includes alarming words like sludge or corrosion, paired with warnings of catastrophic damage if you delay. It feels like a life or death choice for your engine, but the reality is that most fluids are engineered to last far longer than the intervals many shops recommend. Coolant often lasts 50,000 to 100,000 miles before replacement. Transmission, brake, and power steering fluids also last long under normal use. Shops exploit fear by showing dirty samples, sometimes not even from your vehicle. This creates urgency, turning future maintenance into an immediate, costly upsell worth hundreds. The defense is to rely on facts, not fear. Consult your manual to confirm the recommended interval for fluid changes. If a mechanic insists on an immediate flush, request a simple test strip or laboratory-style verification rather than trusting the appearance of liquid in a vial. If proof cannot be provided, decline the service and move on. Fluids are vital, but they are also designed with endurance in mind. By trusting the schedule in your manual instead of the sales pitch at the counter, you avoid paying for unnecessary flushes and keep your hard-earned money where it belongs. That wraps up the list, but protecting yourself doesn't end here. Subscribe right now so you never miss the tips that keep riders like you in control. Drop a comment with your own story and hit like to spread the word. Ride smart, save money, and always stay one step ahead.